Sometimes you're not going to come across very authentically in talking about this stuff with others and normalizing it and reducing shame and creating a sense of positivity about intimacy if you haven't done that for yourself. And sometimes that means going to different things that organizations like you are putting together, talking to your partner about stuff really frankly and exploring and opening up and saying, hey babe, this is for work. Let's really open up about some things and share some deep things and push ourselves. I've seen that in other clinicians. I've seen that in myself. When you kind of start to push those boundaries and you start to really open up in that way, it just flows better.
I want to start out with your 30-second origin story. How did you find your way into men's health and wellness, and when did you realize this is my specialty?
Born and raised in the San Fernando Valley, the birthplace of I knew as a child that I was going in that direction. I think the seeds were planted. And I was a psych undergrad and always kind of knew that's what I wanted to do. And once I started seeing clients, I realized that sexual issues were the ones that just really spoke to me, that I was good at working with, that I could do it. Taboo didn't bother me. And I just find the work really gratifying.
Yeah, amazing. What is one trend in this industry or in men's health in general that genuinely excites you?
I think when I see ads for erectile drugs, I think it angers me. I want there to be a revolution of men just realizing that pill can help, can make a nice weekend, can get you back in your groove, fine. But it's usually not necessary for young guys. And they're getting very conflicting messages from Instagram, from social media, from lots of different places. They've really lost connection to their bodies and to sexuality.
Yeah, so what is something that you do commonly see on social media? There are a lot of myths out there, false information being given, especially to young men.
Again, it's a helpful device for a lot of guys, but sometimes an ad will say, don't have an awkward conversation. And it kind of invalidates all the work that we do, right? We want them to have these awkward conversations and to get really good at them and to connect to their partners and not hide behind a pill. And then the conversation doesn't happen. And the person's like, well, you look like you're in the mood, but you're not really acting like it. Hard to continuously build intimacy from that discordance, that incongruence.
Wow, I can't believe that. Don't have the awkward conversation. We need to be having this conversation.
Right, I literally call my podcast Hard Conversations.
Yeah, as we know in this field, the hard conversations are critical. They must be done. Yeah, so that's very interesting that you've been seeing that. All right, if you could teach the world one key insight about this field, something that could really move the needle, what would it be?
To think of your genitals as a connection stick. A lot of guys don't really realize the stimulation that happens with connection, with authentic connection. They're thinking, oh, no more, it's because the person's hot and I like their body and this and that and I'm in the mood and I got my T levels up and I read about nitric oxide and all that. Connection does the majority of the work, especially when you're hooking up with somebody over, not a one night stand, but over periods of time, over months, over years. Starting to think about yourself in that way could make a massive difference for a lot of guys.
So are you saying there's more to chemistry than just the physical attraction?
That is what I'm saying. Yes.
Yes. Oh, such a good point. At Shaw, we train many people who are wanting to work in men's health. If you could leave one message for the next generation about men's health, what would it be and why does it matter right now?
Put down your devices for a minute, get out into nature, eye gaze, hold each other, and connect sexually. The fate of the world might really be relying on it.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great tip. Okay, someone just heard that tip and was like, I wouldn't know where to start. How do I connect sexually? What would be your go-to first step for them?
Saying you wouldn't know where to start, I want to push back on that. You do. There's a wiring in there. Presumably, there's millions of years of evolution, if that's your thing, if you believe in evolution, that got us to this point where we were hooking up from instincts, quite sexually. If you look at all the mammals out there that we're related to, they're very sexual beings. Start from feeling your best, whatever is you on your best day, good night of sleep, exercise, doing things you love, finding pleasure in anything else, right? You're only going to be able to experience pleasure in sex if you have sources of pleasure outside of the bedroom as well. Taking all of that stuff into consideration and showing up with somebody that you're into, listening to your body, seeing what comes up, and you might be scared, pushing back on those fears. And, sometimes you're going to work with somebody like me to really push back on those fears. But in that authentic space where you're feeling good about yourself and you're attracted to somebody, there's going to be a lot of messaging from your body. You're just going to have to take some chances and make sure you're getting consent from everybody. But things will work because they have for millions of years.
Primarily, what is the most popular issue that you see in your practice?
It seems like there's trends. Some weeks I'll be hearing from older gay guys who still haven't come out of the closet. And then I'll have this marriage, real nagging stuff, habits that have gotten way out of hand and turned into OnlyFans and turned into stuff that's really interfering with relationship. When you go from one device that is presumably not TikTok, Dodger highlight reels and something political, and then some women, and then back and forth. And then, okay, now it's time to matter. Then it's this 3-4 hours on a device that's not connected to your partner. And not that unto itself there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but it's these habits. Just the point itself isn't really working. And now we're like, well, maybe I can find this person. Oh, they've got an OnlyFans page. Oh, and they want $20 a month from me, or they want $50 a month. Oh, now I can have private access to them. And this thing that spirals. And then they wake up one day and, oh my God, basically having an affair. It's a very common arc. It's a very common thing to see, but it just sneaks up on you.
Yeah, I'm sure you're seeing all new issues popping up with the advances of technology and different platforms and things like that too.
Yeah, like these are affairs that couldn't have been had 20 years ago. But at the same time, we're competing with advertisers and editors and really flashy lights and really great phones. And then we can play a video game on our phone and transition into that. And it's hard. Sometimes humans aren't as interesting as all these dopamine producing things that we're seeing on our devices. It's getting out of hand.
Yeah, and with technology, I mean, it's designed that way. From a marketing perspective, a brand perspective, it's designed to hook you and keep you engaged more than just a regular human conversation would be. So if you had one piece of advice for professionals working in the men's health space, what would that be?
Do your own work. This work is trying to break a taboo. Sometimes you're not going to come across very authentically in talking about this stuff with others and normalizing it and reducing shame and creating a sense of positivity about intimacy if you haven't done that for yourself. And sometimes that means going to different things that organizations like you are putting together, talking to your partner about the stuff really frankly and exploring and opening up and saying, hey, babe, this is for work. So let's really open up about some things and share some deep things and push ourselves. I've seen that in other clinicians. I've seen that in myself. When you kind of start to push those boundaries and you start to really open up in that way, it just flows better. Not exactly something you could do in one-on-one supervision, right? You have to tell the person, though, okay, outside of this training space, you got to go and learn about these things in a way where you can really pass it along.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. If you want to learn more from amazing professionals like Tim Norton, check out our events at our SHA website at sexualhealthalliance.com. Thanks.